So we're going to try and make this fit. 5/5 plus 1/5. I want to make a line about that long. You notice it's about halfway between the A and the C. So go ahead and do that. That will leave you room for bunny hops on the top and fractions on the bottom. Okay? So this number line, 5/5 plus 1/5, is going to equal 6/5, which is more than one whole, isn't it? Okay? So when I put my end points on my number line, I have to have 0 and 2. Hudson, you want to get the door, please? That means I'm going to need a whole number in the middle. Now, this is very similar to A on your exit ticket, so put a little star beside it, okay? Now, what's the denominator? Now, this is where we had a few problems in the earlier blocks. 5, the denominator of 5 means I need 5 equal parts between each whole number. Some kids were doing 5 parts between the 0 and the 2. That won't work. You have to do 5 parts between the 0 and the 1. So that's 4 tick marks between each whole number. Do you see how I made my whole number tick marks a little longer? That keeps them separate from the little tick marks. Okay, what's my denominator? Huh? 5. So I'm going to get the 5s written down. I know that's a lot of numbers in a small space, but if I can do it up here on this board with this big fat pen, I think you can do it with your pencil. Okay. So once you get that much done, go ahead and put your pencil down. And I want to remind you of a little trick. I know this is more than one whole because 6 is larger than 5, right? Here's our little trick for figuring out what the mixed number might be. So 5 times 1 equals 5. And when I subtract, I get a 1. Remember, I can take my remainder, put it on top of my divisor, and that gives me a mixed number, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so you actually can write this answer 2 ways. You can write 6/5 or you can write 1 and 1/5 beside it. Okay, I want you to put both of them there. So then this is another problem we've had. Literally, this is my first bunny hop, and this is my second bunny hop. So on the first one, what do I go to? 5. And on the second one, I add 1 more, don't I? So then this will be 5/5 plus 1/5. And my answer is 6/5. Okay, now that's going to help you on the exit ticket A. 1A, okay? On the exit ticket for B, let me rewrite this one, okay? Go back because the one we did yesterday really helped a lot. Okay, let's do 6/3 plus 1/3. So we're not doing this problem. We're doing 6/3 plus 1/3. So write that down. And I'm going to make a number line as long as I can. Now my answer to 6/3 plus 1/3, what is that? 7/3. So let's figure out what the mixed number is. Do 7 divided by 3. Everyone write it down, please. Okay, 3 times 2 equals 6, right? So that gives me 2, then with a remainder of 1 and a divisor of 3, 2 and 1/3. Okay, so now let's do this one. I don't think 2 is going to be high enough this time. What do you think? No, what are we going to need? 3. A 3. So that means we've got to fill in with two more whole numbers, a 1 and a 2. Okay, what's my denominator? 3. So that means between each whole number, I need 2 tick marks. And then let's go ahead and label them all. I think there's room. How can I tell that I've got all these fractions in the right place? What can I check? The whole numbers. So is 3/3 going to be 1 whole? Mm-hmm. What about 6 divided by 3? Is that 2?
Yeah.
And 9 divided by 3 equals 3. Okay. So I put those in the right place. Now, literally, I have 2 bunny hops here. And they're the 2 numbers in my problem. So I've got 6. I'm going to hop to 6. And then I'm going to add 1 more. Now, some kids, here's what they forgot on their exit ticket. They forgot to put those fractions up there. So be careful, don't forget to put those. And then another thing they forgot, what do you think it was? Circle their answer. Okay? So that's very similar to B on your exit ticket. Same denominators, everything, same whole numbers. So if you get confused, you can look back at that. All right? Let's try C. C looks pretty fun. More bunny hops this time, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not going to change these two. I'm going to keep them the same. Okay, so 3/10 plus 3/10 plus 3/10 would be 9/10. Is that more or less than 1 whole? Less, because 9 is less than 10. So what's my denominator here? 10. Here's the easiest way to do it. Would you like to watch? Divide it in half, and then you'll have 5 and 5. So then between the half and the 0, just put 4 tick marks. And then if you need to double check, can you just, with your pencil, bunny hop across there without writing it and see if there are 10 equal parts? Okay. Plus, when we count, when we write, we're going to figure it out, aren't we? Okay, so let's get the fractions below now. All right, are you with me? Okay, I don't want to rush you. So now, I don't know if you remember me showing you this yesterday, but watch up here. Sometimes when I'm hopping to a number, the number gets lost because my hand gets in the way. So it might be easier for you to just hop backwards from the number. And then write your 3/10 above. So if I'm going to do 3/10 plus 3/10 plus 3/10, it's going to be 3, 6, 9. Skip counting by 3s. Okay, and what are some things the kids forgot to write? The 3/10 above the bunny hops, right? And then circle the answer. Right, let's take a look at letter D. So this one's written different. I want to rewrite it. What if I were to take this multiplication part and rewrite it as repeated addition? Would that be easier to understand? Probably. So 2 copies of 3/4, that would be 3/4 plus 3/4, and then plus 1/4. Now the reason I rewrote it is because that's going to tell me what to hop to on the number line. These are actually the bunny hops, okay? All right, so let's get the number line set up. What's the answer to this? 3 plus 3 plus 1, 7/4. So we've got to figure out how high to go. So the easiest way, remember my little trick here, 4 times 1, so that's going to give me 3, 1 3/4. Is everybody able to do this? Do you understand what we're doing with the remainder on top of the divisor? Okay, all right. So if I've got 1 3/4 for an answer, my highest number needs to be a 2. So I've got 1 in the middle, my whole number of 1 in the middle. Now I'm going to look at my denominator. What's my denominator, Emily? 4. So I need 3 tick marks. Remember, divide it in half, and then divide each of those in half. That'll give you fourths. Okay? So now I have label the fractions. It's almost like I'm teaching to an empty room. You guys are so quiet.
They are quiet.
Remember, the recording can't really hear you unless you're standing right where I am, or you yell. Okay, so here's what I have to put on there. 3 plus 3 plus 1. So I'm going to do 3, and then 1, 2, 3, plus 1. The 7/4 is what we got earlier. Okay, fist to 5 on that. Doing okay?
Yeah.
If you're not, and you get to your exit ticket and you get stuck, go ahead and look at these first two, because the number lines are going to be very similar. Okay, the whole numbers and everything are going to be similar. Okay, so let's look at this next part. This part is all about repeated addition. So we did a little T chart in block 1, but block 2, but I'm not sure I liked it. So I would like to, let's divide each of them in half this way. So here I'm going to add, and here I'm going to multiply. So it's going to be kind of like a sideways T chart. Okay? Now, when it says the sum of 2 or 3 equal fractional parts, that means repeated addition. Okay? Because sum means to do what? Add. Okay? So I want you to follow along with my thinking. Yesterday, we talked about arrays, didn't we? Now, the only thing I'm looking at for the array is the numerator. So I need you to make an array with 6. And let's do it this way first. 3 plus 3. And then we'll turn it, and we'll do it the other way. 2 plus 2 plus 2. So those are 2 arrays that equal 6. You agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to show this with repeated addition. Are you ready? 3 plus 3. But I've got to have a denominator. What is it? 7s. So 3 7s plus 3 7s equals 6 7s. Write that down. Okay? Now how can I take this and make it multiplication? How many copies do I have? 2. So 2 copies of 3 7s equals 6 7s. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to turn this around. I almost wrote too big though. So now I'm going to do this repeated addition array. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 plus 2 plus 2. Are you with me?
Yep.
Okay. What's my denominator? 7. It didn't change, did it? That's what we did yesterday, and the answer is 6/7. So we've got two different options here, don't we? Okay, now let's make multiplication for this. I almost need a line there to separate the two, don't I? Okay, so how many copies of 2/7 do you see? Okay, so 3 copies of 2/7 equals 6/7. And John said, when you multiply times a whole number, it does not affect the denominator. It only affects the numerator. Is he right?
Yeah.
He is right. That was pretty profound thinking. Okay, now let's do B, and we're going to do it the same way. Okay? So I've got this T-chart here going across. I'm going to add, and then I'm going to multiply. Okay, so let's do an array for 9. I'm going to do it way out of the way so it doesn't interfere. So let's do, oh, there's only one array for 9, isn't there? What is it? 3 by 3. Okay, so 9, since it's 3 by 3, I'm not going to do it sideways because it's already the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to make 9, I'm going to do 3 plus 3 plus 3. You agree?
Yeah.
And that equals 9. What's my denominator? So 9 halves. I still wrote too big. Oh, I don't have to do 2 of them this time. So I'm okay. So how many copies do you see here? 3 copies. So 3 copies of 3 halves equals 9 halves. A mistake I saw earlier today, the kids accidentally put the 9 here instead of at the end for the answer, okay? So your total when you add needs to be the number they give you here. Okay, let's try the next one. I think we can switch this one around. Okay, so we're going to add first, then multiply. And I've got to make 12. So an array for 12, I know, but let's not do 6 plus 6.
3 times 4.
Okay, so let's do, you want to do 3 in each row and do 4 rows?
Yeah.
Okay, so start with that. You'll have to find a spot on your paper to write. Okay? So that means I've got 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So 3, and I'm going to write the 3 4 times, aren't I?
Yeah.
What's my denominator? 10. So that should make 12 tenths. Okay, so rewrite this as multiplication. How many copies of 3 tenths do you see? 4 copies of 3 tenths equals 12 tenths. Okay, this is pretty good, isn't it? Now let's change it. Is it going to let me select it? It is. Now all I have to do is rotate it. Okay, so if I change that array to be the other way around, now I've got 4 plus 4 plus 4. So over here I'll write 4 plus 4 plus 4. What's my denominator? 10. Running out of room. That equals 12 tenths. Okay, so how do I write that as a multiplication problem?
3 times 4 tenths.
3 copies of, or 3 groups of 4 tenths equals 12 tenths. This to 5 on this. We're not going to do 27 because I don't want to make 9 copies of 3.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the exit ticket. So turn over to the exit ticket. Remember, you have stuff you can look at to make sure you did this correctly. Still looks really small on my board, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're just going to have to deal with it. So, here's what I want you to do. Let's go ahead. I'll help you with your whole numbers. Sound good?
Okay.
So, make it as long as you can. So, I've got 5/5 plus 2/5. What is it? 7/5. And if I were to check that and make that a mixed number, by the way, obviously I don't care about the answer, I just care about the number line, right? Okay, so if I were to make that a mixed number, I would do 7 divided by 5, which would be 1 and 2/5. Good. 1 and 2/5. So if 1 and 2/5 is my final answer, what whole number do I need to have on here?
2.
A 2 and a 0. And then between each whole number, I've got to show fifths. So 4 little tick marks. Okay, can you stop and finish that later? Okay, so put your pencil down when you get that much done. Remember, you're just going to have 2 bunny hops here. 1 for 5/5, 1 for 2/5. Okay? I think you could have made your number line bigger, kiddo. Yeah, so try and use all the space you can. So the next one, what's 6/3 plus 2/3? 8/3. So 8 divided by 3, everybody do it. I think we already did this today. 3 times 2 equals 6. So I have 2 and 2/3. So 2 and 2/3. So if that's my answer, what's the highest number need to be? 3. Has to be more than 2 and 2/3. So on this one, you've got to have whole numbers 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, and 3 on top. And then my denominator is 3, so I need 2 tick marks. Down here, you don't have to show me both ways. I just need one way to add and one way to multiply
Okay.
for both of these, okay?
Thank you.
If you get confused, make an array for your numerator. That's going to help you, okay?